Welcome to this online class where we're going to be chatting to you about doTERRA essential oils. My name's Miranda, for those of you who don't know me, and I have a business called BreatheEatMeditate. I'm a yoga teacher, a health coach, and a mum of two gorgeous girls. And with me is Gus, a friend and colleague, and she can introduce herself.
Hello everybody and welcome. My name's Gus. I'm a functional nutritionist. My company is called BeMarvellous, and I have been using these oils for a couple of years now. Within the home, on my family, I have children, and Miranda and I have been working together to share these oils for about the last year.
So we want to let you know why we think these oils are amazing and why we think that you would love to have them in your home as well. So you may have had a sample from me, or if you've been to one of my yoga classes, you know that I use the deep blue rub for your neck and shoulders. So these are essential oils, and I didn't really know what essential oils were before I found them, which was through Gus actually. I went to see her for a nutrition consultation and ended up buying oils, and I at that point didn't really know what to expect from them. So essential oils are from a plant, and they are the immune system of the plant. So they come from a number of different places within the plant. They can be the flower, the bark, the seed, so many different areas of the plant that the oil is extracted from, and either steam distilled or cold pressed. So things like the citrus oils are cold pressed, and other oils tend to be steam distilled. And this creates a very, very powerful plant medicine, and much more powerful than the herbal equivalent. So for example, you can see a bottle of peppermint on the slide. 1 drop of peppermint oil is the equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. So you can see that the oil is a much stronger derivative than using the herb. And that's why they can be used medicinally, but they can also be used in cooking rather than using the herbal equivalent. And what else did I want to say about that? Well, just that I actually know a trained herbalist who stopped using herbs in her practice and used the oils instead, because she just realized that they are more powerful, and often you only need 1 drop to create an effect. So that makes them also very cost effective, and they go into the body very quickly and have a fairly quick result. So they're actually within the body within 20 minutes. That's right, isn't it, Gus?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, really quickly.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned just the 1 drop. If you look at a drop of essential oil from a chemistry point of view, you'll see that just a drop of essential oil contains hundreds of different plant compounds made by Mother Nature. And it's these compounds that, when we use them on our body, exert these benefits, such as calming, uplifting, warming, soothing, depending on the different oil. And we'll talk through this as we go through our presentation.
So the oils are 100% natural. So what does that mean? It means that they don't have any synthetics, they don't have any preservatives. They are actually beyond organic. And this might sound a little strange, but in many countries where the plants are grown, they're still fairly third world countries, but the benefit of that is that they haven't yet had to industrialize their farming process. So they're not using pesticides and fertilizers and things in their soil and on their crops that we are in our more Western world having to use in order to control the crops and the bugs and everything like that. So in many of the countries where the plants grow in their natural abundance and the oils are sourced from, they aren't yet even familiar with this word organic. And on top of that, it's expensive, and like I mentioned, the plants are sometimes grown in countries where there is less wealth, and so the farmers, to get the certification of having an organic certification would cost them a lot. So it's not even something that's necessarily possible to do. So the oils are beyond organic because they are grown in nature as nature intended them to grow, with nothing chemically put on them to help them do so. So doTERRA created a certification for themselves because this is an unregulated industry. It will probably change in the future, but at the moment there isn't a regulation as to what an oil can or can't say on it. So you can, it's quite crazy, but you can pick up a bottle of essential oil that says 100% pure on it, and it's not, which is a little confusing. The way that it cannot be pure is that it can have some synthetics in it. It can be saying that it's one oil, but in fact it's maybe one drop of that oil, and then it's either mixed with some carrier oil or it's mixed with some other less expensive oils. So I always like to think of olive oil when I think about this, and think that there are different grades of olive oil, right? There's some olive oil that we'd only ever use on our salad. There's some olive oil that we'd use when we're cooking. These are different grades of olive oil. And it's the same in essential oils. There are different grades of essential oils. And from synthetic oils at the lowest to therapeutic grade oils at the highest. And so doTERRA are this, they are therapeutic grade, which means that they are pure. As we discussed, they're 100% natural, so they're pure, they're natural, nothing artificial, no fragrances or fillers, pesticides, nothing. They're safe, so they're certified to be free of pesticides and other chemical residues, and they're potent. So they've actually gone through 15 rounds of tests to ensure that they carry a therapeutic grade, so potency, which means that they are going to affect our bodies on a cellular level. So this is the CPTG standard that doTERRA have created, which is on every bottle, and which allows us to know that these really are the very best grade of oil that are available.
And I think this is, for me, such an important part of what doTERRA offer, because it does give you as a customer complete peace of mind that every time you choose to buy a bottle of theirs, it's going to be the same standard as maybe if you tried something before. So let's say you'd used some oil to get rid of your headaches, to help your headache pain, and you'd stop having to use ibuprofen. Were you to buy that oil when it run out some time further down the line, you'll find that it will be just as effective because everything is standardized, which means the potency is the same all the time, every single time, and the testing makes sure of that. So it gives you lots of peace of mind. Okay, so this is one of the ways that doTERRA makes their oils so potent. It's down to where they source their oils from. So they currently source from around 46 countries around the world. Around a third of those, as Miranda mentioned, are developing countries. And the reason they do this is because they have realized that potency in the chemistry found within the essential oil is very much down to where the plant is grown, what kind of soil is it grown in, what sort of climate is it grown in, and if it's in its either natural native indigenous climate or in a climate that suits it very well and allows it to thrive, then you're going to have a much more robust and potent essential oil than if you had that same plant growing in a part of the world where it just wasn't meant to grow. And so this is how doTERRA achieves its potency within its oils by sourcing worldwide. It also allows them to develop long-term contracts, which we'll talk about later on, that have an impact on how they distill and harvest their plants and oils as well.
So when you buy the oils, there are 3 ways in which you can use them. And the first, probably the one that most people are most familiar with using essential oils, is aromatically. So this means taking it in through the nose, and it goes into the nose and hits the olfactory bulb and then affects the limbic part of the brain. So right here at the front of the brain. And this is the part of the brain where we store our memories, and it has a direct relationship to emotions. So when we smell something, we're often reminded of a memory, or it can even create an emotional link to something. So when we smell the oil, it affects our brain, and it can therefore have a direct result in affecting mood, anxiety, feeling a little bit down. Also, if you're a bit tired or lethargic. So smelling an oil, you can literally just take the cap off the oil and smell directly from the bottle. You can put a drop in the palm of your hands, rub your palms together and cup your nose and smell it like that. You can also use a diffuser and smell the oil. And the great thing about using a diffuser is it affects more than just the one person in the room. So everyone benefits from the use of a diffuser. And the diffusers that we recommend are steam diffusers, not oil. I used to have a candle, but I learned that that's actually not the best way to be diffusing the oils. Particularly nice to use at kids' bedtime as well, diffusing the oils. We always put them on around bath time, and it just really helps set the tone and sort of, part of the bedtime routine, and letting them know that it's time for bed. So yeah, that's one of my favorite uses of aromatically. And then topically, so this is just applying it to the skin. And we always recommend diluting the oils, and depending on the age of a baby, a child, an adult, then it'll be a slightly different dilution. And we recommend using fractionated coconut oil, but you can use any organic carrier oil, almond oil, or the like. And you place the oil on the area of the body where you have some pain, or the soles of the feet. So the soles of the feet is a good place because there are large pores, and also it's not very sensitive skin. So particularly with babies and children, it's a good place to use the oils. But so you can rub on the soles of the feet, or you can rub, say you've got a headache, you might apply some at the back of the neck, perhaps the temples, or you've got a lower backache, you're going to apply the oils on the lower back. So yeah, soles of the feet, or where you've got some pain or discomfort as the topical application. And then thirdly, and this is quite unique to doTERRA, is the internal use of the oils. So you probably shouldn't use any other brand of oils other than doTERRA internally. And the reason that we can use these oils internally is because of the purity. When we use the oils internally, they form more of a sort of medicinal purpose. So I use the oils internally if I'm coming down with a cold or a sore throat. I also put a drop of oil in my water bottle, and I use that not just because it makes the water taste nice, but because it has a cleansing benefit as well. But again, we're talking about one drop in quite a large quantity of water. So my bottle of water, I think, is half a litre, and that's one drop of oil. And also, if I was using the oils internally as a more medicinal purpose, I might take the oils in a smaller amount of water and take it down as a shot. Or you can also put the oils in a veggie capsule and then you can swallow the oils and they can go down into the gut. So the use of internal oils is actually really, really useful, and a great thing that doTERRA have given us the ability to use the oils in this way. And it is only for adults, though, to take internally, not children. But you can also use the oils internally in food, so making raw chocolates and smoothies, and even cooking in bolognese and things like that. And that kids can they can have it that way. But also, it's important to say, don't feel like you need to remember everything that I'm saying, because first of all, this recording is obviously available to you, but also when you buy your oils, we'll set you up with either a book or an app that will explain everything that I'm explaining to you today, and you'll feel very confident and comfortable using the oils. You'll also get a one-to-one with me once your oils arrive, so that you, again, have confidence in using them and know all the varieties of ways for you personally, for you and your family, the ways that will make the most sense for you to use. So don't feel like you need to remember everything, because I know it's a lot of information.
And I'd just like to add on to what Miranda's just said about the ways of using the oils. I think probably by this point in the presentation, you've realised that these doTERRA oils are not just a nice fragrance, which maybe might have been the way you thought about essential oils prior to listening to this video, this recording. And I think we need to remind ourselves that anything that we inhale in the air, whether that be something positive and beneficial like essential oils, or whether that be something like chemical toxins that might be in our products that we use around the home to clean or for our beauty care, will get into our body. If you think about medications that are used via inhalation, like asthma inhalers or anesthetics that are taken through masks, the presumption is that what you inhale gets into your blood, just the same as the presumption is that what you put on your body gets into your blood. So anything that you put on your skin does get through the transdermal layer and get absorbed into your bloodstream. Think about estrogen creams or nicotine patches, things that are delivered via the skin. So we need to be really aware of what we put in onto our skin as much as what we breathe in through our nose and mouth. And of course, if you are using something like doTERRA's essential oils that are completely, as Miranda explained, 100% pure and natural and of a very high grade, then you can be sure that there's no extra toxins going in, whilst at the same time getting the therapeutic benefits that we'll describe coming up.
So now we're getting into the juicy bit. So doTERRA do over, I think, is it over 140 oils now? And that would obviously be way too overwhelming to tell you about all those different oils. So we're telling you about the top 10 oils, or I like to think of it as like the beginner's set, the beginner's kit, because these oils will really be part of health, and not just physical health, but emotional health and well-being for you and your family. And these 10 oils will be the ones which come up as the most used. So this kit has been designed purposefully to support families and individuals. But there are great uses for everyone, men, women, kids. So we're starting with lavender, one which probably most people already know about. Lavender is very calming. It's great for anxiety. It's not just calming for emotions, though. It's also calming for the skin. So that I didn't realize. But if you've got a bug bite or if you've got a rash, something like that, also for burns, then lavender helps to calm that too. For teething babies, lavender on the jawline can be incredibly helpful. And for communication, so lavender is the oil of communication. Like I said, these oils have a benefit on a physical level, but also on an emotional level. And I recently was the celebrant for my brother's wedding, and I have to say that before the wedding was about to happen, I was quite emotional and couldn't really stop crying, which isn't ideal when you're about to lead 150 people in a service. And I had some lavender in my pocket, and I had brought it up because I knew it was the oil of communication, and obviously I wanted to communicate my love and my goodwill to my brother. And I used the lavender like literally 5 minutes before the service, and like all that overwhelm of emotion, I was suddenly able to go into a very, very grounded place. And although everyone in the service was crying, in a happy way, but I was able to, stay very calm and collected. And actually, that's what everyone came up to me afterwards saying. I was like, "How did you stay so calm? How are you so serene?" And I really believe that the lavender must have played a role, because beforehand, like 5 minutes before the service, I can tell you I wasn't calm and serene. And so I think, these oils can be very powerful, not just on a physical level, but in other ways as well.
That's such a great story. I love that. And I think from the studies that I've looked at on lavender, the scientific studies, the kind of physiology that backs up the story that Miranda's just shared with you is that what lavender has been shown to do, or the compounds within lavender, is that when you're in a stress response, which is kind of where Miranda was, and that's kind of a good stress response, but still, overwhelmed, and probably heart rate will raise, your blood pressure will raise when you're in a stress response. These are the physiological aspects and what's happening. What lavender has been shown to do in research is that it can lower your blood pressure, and it can lower your heart rate, and actually bring you out of stress response into a much calmer state, so that you are reacting, if you like, in a different way to how you would if you were stressed. And I think this is really powerful, both for taking charge of situations like this, but also when we are stressed and we do find it hard to unwind and relax. This is just such a beautiful oil to have aromatically in your diffuser, or in your hands if you don't have a diffuser around, and therefore also really good for supporting good quality deep sleep as well.
Yeah, it's a really great one. I said I use the diffuser at bedtime. This is for the kids. This is what I will typically use.
Yeah. And coming back to what you mentioned about the skin, absolutely, it's fantastic for healing and regenerating skin. So it's also a really beautifying oil. So if you're interested in maybe adding a drop to your skincare regime, it would really help to beautify your skin wonderfully.
Great. So lemon. So this is a really amazing smell. It's very zesty. It's so clean and fresh, and I love it in the diffuser as well. It creates a very sort of pure, clean smell in the house. But it's also good for cleaning with, so you can use it as a worktop spray. Well, any place you can use it in a spray bottle to help clean your house. It's also great for sore throats, which is really nice. You can either drink it in your water, or you can apply it topically on your throat. So that's really helpful, actually. It's good for concentration, particularly mixed with peppermint, which we're coming on to next. Lemon and peppermint together is really, really lovely, and helps to create a sort of uplifting and a little bit more energy in the room, or if you're using it in the diffuser or on your hands, helps to wake you up and stimulate you a little bit. And it's great for removing grease and crayon marks, and you can use it on the walls, or you can use it when you're cleaning your dishes or your pans. So that's also super handy. And just important to remember with the citrus oils, that they are photosensitive. So today is a lovely sunny day. So today's not a day that I would like slather lemon all over me topically. I'd put it on the soles of my feet, which aren't going to see the sun. So that's just an important point to remember.
Yes, and picking up on lemon, it's just the most, as Miranda said, amazing bright smell, and it comes solely from the rind of the fruit rather than the flesh. And the compounds in it are cleansing and purifying, and that's within the body, so helping with detoxification, a bit of digestion. You can also use it on the body to help cleanse your cells from the outside in, so whether it was as a cleanser or, you know, maybe you make your own scrub, and also cleansing and purifying in the air as well. So if you have I don't know, bad smell in the house, you've just burnt some toast maybe, or you just want to, you feel like there's pollution in the air, it's a great one to have in the diffuser. So really great like that too.
And peppermint. So peppermint, like I already mentioned, 1 drop of peppermint oil is the equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea, which is fairly extraordinary. It's an amazing smell. I love the smell of this one. It's kind of sweet and zingy at the same time. Rubbed on my hands and breathing it in really helps to wake me up. It's great for clearing the airways. Great for headaches. I've had a lot of success helping clients with headaches using peppermint. So just 1 drop applied to the temples, like nearer the hairline than the eyes, and rubbed on the back of the neck. And the lemon, lavender, peppermint, those 3 together, they form the antihistamine trio, which for hay fever, which I suffer from, unfortunately, but all allergies, so pet allergies, food allergies even. So those 3 together in the diffuser, those 3 together taken internally, and those 3 together used topically help support the body in protecting against allergies. So that's definitely one that those 3 I am using a lot of currently to help with my hay fever. And I have to say, like, there's the added benefit that I'm using it to help with my hay fever, but I feel like using those 3 together, I'm also getting the benefit of the lemon, cleansing my digestive system, peppermint, which is actually aiding my digestion, lavender, which is lovely and calming. So I'm using the oils for my hay fever, but I feel like I'm getting some extra benefits and bonuses.
Yeah, which is great, isn't it?
Quite cool. Yeah.
Well, I sent my eldest son, who's in year 6, off on his week-long school trip today, and he very often suffers from, or used to suffer from, travel sickness, especially in kind of coaches and minivans. But all he uses now is a tissue with a drop of peppermint on, and he just holds that near his nose, and it completely alleviates any motion travel sickness. And it's the same for both of my sons. So I'm thankful for peppermint, because I know that beforehand the option was medications for children, and again they make them feel drowsy and there's side effects. So I'm very thankful that in some cases these therapeutic grade oils by doTERRA actually allow you to use something natural before you turn them to medication, especially for children, but also obviously with adults. Likewise with Miranda for headaches, again I don't need to have really any Nurofen in the house anymore, because I find that peppermint rubbed on my temples right here, maybe a bit behind my ears and behind my neck, is perfect to help relieve the symptoms of headache. And fever here is mentioned as well. Peppermint contains a lot of the compound called menthol, which when you put it on your skin creates a sort of cooling, tingling sensation. It's quite pleasant. Now, when the body is heated up and you have a fever, especially children can burn up a really good, strong fever. That's actually a good sign that our children get fevers when they're poorly, because it's a sign that their immune systems are responding properly. And what our immune systems want to do is elevate the body temperature in order to kill off the virus or bug that's invaded and is trying to take hold. So instead of reaching for a Calpol to lower the temperature immediately, we need to allow that temperature, as long as it doesn't get out of hand and too high, and keep our children comfortable. And peppermint's a really lovely way to help keep, I find in my experience, children comfortable when they have fevers, what you do is you dilute it appropriately for their age, and you'd rub it down the spine. That seems to be the best place to do it. And it just helps to keep them calm. In some cases, I've had mums tell me that the fever's gone in a few hours. So, yeah. Oh, and alertness. Can I just say something about alertness? Peppermint is one of my favorite oils. I have it in a ready diluted rollerball as well, because I tend to really use it a lot when I need to get work done, when I need to focus and concentrate for a few hours. And I'll just rub it again on my temples, and it just tingles a bit and just gets you really focused. I don't know if you find that too, Miranda.
I've got it in the diffuser right now.
Yeah, exactly. Let me move us along. Okay, so let's talk about why and how essential oils are so effective in our body. I've already talked to you about how they might get into our body, inhalation, topically, and obviously internally. So once they're in our body, they're in our blood. And our blood is like a motorway moving around our body, delivering bits and pieces, whether it's nutrients, whether it's essential oils, to the cells around the lining of the arteries. Now, what's interesting about essential oils is that they are volatile aromatic compounds. That's the technical word for them. And they are lipids. So that means they're fats. And the molecules are teeny tiny molecules. They're not large molecules when you look at them from a chemistry point of view. Now, when you look at our cells, this is the picture of a cell here. Not all our cells are this shape, but for the purpose of explaining, all of our cells have a membrane, an outer membrane called a lipid membrane. So it's made of fats. And the lipid membrane of each cell is semi-permeable. It's permeable to things that are very small in molecular structure and that are made of fats. And so things that are small and made of fat can very easily just diffuse through the membrane without much effort whatsoever. And this is the case for essential oils. They are made of fat, they're fats, and they're also very, very small. So this means that our essential oils can work at a cellular level as much as outside the cells as well. Now, when you look at the things that tend to make us poorly most often, they're either going to be a bacteria, an infection of sorts, or a virus like a flu or a cold virus or some other virus. Now, these two organisms work very differently to each other. Bacteria are very large and they are water soluble. So they're not able to penetrate the cells that easily at all. So we've all heard of antibiotics, and when you take an antibiotic, its specific task is to kill off bacteria, which it does pretty effectively. And so it kills off bacteria that are all in the interstitial space, so the space between cells but not inside cells. Antibiotics cannot get into cells. Again, they're too large a molecule and they're water soluble. So when you look at a virus, it behaves very differently in our bodies. It doesn't hang around outside the cells, but instead it manages to get into our cells and then sort of hijack our cells, if you like, and then get itself replicated by muddling around with the DNA of our cells. So viruses are pretty much impossible to kill off using antibiotics. And so that's why we can't really get prescriptions for antibiotics for colds or flu, because they just wouldn't work. And you'd also be doing some kind of side effect damage at the same time. But when you have oils, essential oils, which we're going to talk about in a minute, which are antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral, they can actually get into our cells and work at a cellular level and help our cells to eradicate the viruses. So incredibly clever, which is why they're so effective when they're therapeutic grade.
Yeah, so a couple of the oils that work particularly well in this way are Melaleuca, which is also known as tea tree oil. So this is an antiseptic and antifungal oil. So it's great for a cut on the skin, or like a wart, or like an infection. Really good. So I recently cut myself really quite badly, and I just put on the plaster, I put some Melaleuca to help keep it clean and antiseptic. So yeah, I guess there are those creams, I don't even know what they're called, but like an antiseptic cream I would use Melaleuca in place of that. Amazing for ear infections. So I've definitely used this with my oldest daughter. Again, diluted and applied not in her ear, but just around the outside of her ear. And two applications, and she's no longer complaining of an earache. And it's quite handy that Melaleuca is a preventative for head lice. So when you get that note from school saying that there's some lice going around, either adding a drop of this to shampoo or making up a little spray and spritzing your kid's hair or your hair can be really good. And actually, this is an oil combined with peppermint that I've had really great success helping clients with dandruff or itchy scalp, things like that. So adding a drop of Melaleuca and a drop of peppermint to their shampoo when they wash their hair, I've had great success stories and people feeling much happier, which is always nice.
Yeah, and it really is a very powerful antifungal for the skin. Again, I've had testimonials back about things like athlete's foot and fungal toenails being supported and kind of eradicated using this oil. And what I will say here when we talk about using the oils therapeutically, but in this context of antibacterial and antiseptic, is that the regular use of the oils is where it all happens. We have to remember that because these are natural, they're not as strong as medications, firstly. But also what's been shown by research is that, yes, we can, as Miranda mentioned earlier, if we use these oils on our skin, they're inside our bodies, inside our blood within around 20 to 30 minutes. But then they're also out of our body again about 3 to 4 hours later. For children, it's slightly less, 2 to 3 hours. And so when you're treating something like an open wound or an infection that is more acute and you want to kind of make sure that it's gone, you need to think about much more regular application and consistency, which is what's going to get you the results that you need. So yes, if you have any cuts or wounds or maybe a fungal infection, you want to be applying that at least 2 to 3 times a day in order for it to start having effect. And it might take a while as well. I've had results with getting a water for my child's foot, but it took a month, but we didn't have to resort to anything else, and it's never come back.
So oregano, well, it smells really amazing, actually. Well, to me, I guess not everyone, but I love the smell of this. It's very herby. It smells of oregano. It reminds me of pizza, but it's a very hot, spicy oil. So it's not one that you'd use by any means every day, but it's a great one to have in your cupboard when you need it. So this is known as nature's antibiotic. So you treat it as an antibiotic. It's not one that you use daily. You would use it for a short amount of time and then you'd have a break from it. So it's amazing for infections. If I was to be like under the weather with a tummy bug or something like that, I would use the oregano to help my body kill off, the bugs. It's great for warts and verrucas alongside Melaleuca. Again, you'd always dilute this one. You wouldn't use it on your skin neat because it will feel like a burning sensation. It's not going to cause any lasting damage, but you don't want to, you don't want to cause discomfort. It's fantastic for candida. So again, working with fungus is very helpful. I'd use it applied to the soles of my feet. Athlete's foot. So it's a great one for supporting the immune system when you really need it, and just a great one to have in the cupboard for as and when.
Yeah, and it is, as Miranda says, super powerful. And in fact, it's one of the few oils that can act in isolation of our cells. So a lot of the oils, compounds, work with our cells to do something, to have some effect. But with oregano, it has what we call a cytic ability, so it can just go in and kill the bacteria that needs to be killed without any help from our human cells. It's very, very powerful in that respect in terms of the nature's antibiotic piece. Yeah.
So On Guard is a blend of several different oils, but including wild orange and eucalyptus and cinnamon, clove, and it's an antibacterial, well, these three oils have all been antibacterial, but this one's particularly antibacterial and can be used in the diffuser to help kill airborne bacteria. So if someone comes into the house and they're, maybe they come with a cold or something, you might want to put this one on the diffuser. And around September, when kids are going back to school and often coming down with things, this is really, really, really great to have. So in the diffuser to help kill airborne bacteria, if I'm traveling, I will always have this one. I put a drop on my hands. I'll use it instead of like an antibacterial whatever hand sanitizer, because they're actually not as good as we've been led to believe. Also, you could use it topically. So India went to school this morning. She had a bit of she sounded like she was a bit coldy, so I popped some on her chest. Again, you could do the soles of the feet. So this is the protective blend, and it works as a great antibacterial, and we use it a lot. Breathe. This is another really lovely blend, and this is basically anything to help the respiratory system. So really amazing for colds. Again, because of my hay fever, I've been diffusing this one at night to help open my airways and so I can sleep better. Asthma I've heard amazing things, particularly this blend combined with frankincense, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, Breathe and frankincense together for asthma. I've heard of kids being able to use much less of their steroid inhalers, and like just really awesome things happening. The snoring, you can dilute it and rub it along the sinuses, or have it in the diffuser at bedtime. And it has a calming effect, so it's also good to be using it at bedtime. Nice with lavender. Breathe and lavender together is really lovely at bedtime in the diffuser.
And I think just to point out on these two last oils we've talked about, the two blends, Breathe and On Guard, neither of them are diluted, as Miranda said. They're just several neat oils pulled together for a particular purpose. What I've noticed, because my original need for these oils was really changing how we did healthcare in our home, especially with my children. I didn't want to just use Calpol all the time or go to the doctor. I wanted to have something more natural that I could use that was effective before maybe I had to think about some medicine. And with these two blends, you have some really amazing kind of natural medicine in your home, because with Breathe, I just think of it as a natural Vicks. And again, Vicks is petroleum based and doesn't have natural ingredients in it, or a natural olbas oil. It's very, very supportive of, croup and bronchitis and all those chesty infections that come in the winter. But also people who work out and run a lot find this a really great oil to use. Before they train, they'll put it on their chest, and it will allow really great oxygenation while they train. And with On Guard, you've got the most incredible preventative tool out. It's something that you can use day in, day out very safely to support your immune system to stay well. So they're both fantastic oils that really work together very, very well.
So Deep Blue, if you've come to my yoga class, then you have had some Deep Blue on you, I'm sure. I really love this one. It's soothing. It's great for muscle tension, great for migraines and headaches. It's also very useful for period pains, rubbed on the tummy, and bruises as well. So arthritis, I've had a lot of clients use it for arthritis and find it very effective. In fact, I've had one testimonial where she said, beyond anything she's ever tried before, and she used to just sit crying, holding her hands, and nothing was working. Deep Blue works. So it's it's pretty awesome to have these tools and to be able to be using something so natural, but that it's effective too. That's what we love about them. So Zengest, this is the digestive blend, and this is a mixture of peppermint and ginger and caraway, and it's got some tarragon in it. So I love the taste and the smell of this. Not everyone does, and if you don't love like black licorice, then you probably wouldn't like the taste of it. So it would be one to use topically rather than internally. It's not one that I would use in the diffuser unless it was for nausea. So like in the early stages of pregnancy, it can be a nice one to put in the diffuser if someone's feeling really morning sick. Also one for travel sickness, because it has the peppermint in it, so it can also be useful for any kind of travel sickness. But yeah, so I use this one quite regularly because I don't have the best digestive system, so I will often rub some topically before bed so that I don't wake up in the night feeling like I haven't digested my supper properly. And yeah, I love it. I love the taste of it. And, I'll happily put a drop in my glass of water and drink it like that. But I do love the taste of fennel. But yeah, so anything digestive, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, stomach bugs, all those sorts of things. Indigestion. My husband suffers from indigestion. He's like, get me the thing that works for indigestion. So this is what he gets.
Mm. Yes, and absolutely. There's so many clients of mine that have come to me, the people that suffer with IBS-like symptoms or diagnosed IBS, that have found using this oil has brought them incredible relief to the symptoms that they experience. And obviously, whilst these are not medicines, we can't say they're going to treat or cure anything. They can absolutely help to relieve symptoms that make life otherwise sometimes unbearable or very difficult. So Zengest is well loved for that reason, I think. It's also really great. I mean, even if you don't have digestive problems, I don't luckily suffer too much on that front, but there are some times when I'll be going out to eat and maybe eating too late in the evening for what my digestion really likes, or maybe eating something I shouldn't have eaten that starts to make my stomach feel a bit crunchy. And I will carry Zengest in my bag, and I'll just put a drop under my tongue directly, or maybe a little bit in a shot of water, and drink it. And it brings huge relief and really helps the digestive process go smoothly.
Really, really helpful for new mums with colicky type babies as well.
Yes. So just this picture here, you're probably thinking, what is this picture? Co-impact sourcing is the model that doTERRA uses when it goes in to source its oils from those 26 countries around the world that are developing countries, which we talked about a few slides back. In the front row, you see 4 of the founders, I think 3 of the founders, and one of the sourcing team here. And I believe they're in Haiti in this picture. So what doTERRA does when it goes to source oils from a developing country is, obviously these countries are extremely poor, and a lot of the communities who are responsible for growing and harvesting the crops that make the oil have very little support from the governments. So doTERRA, the co-impact sourcing model is a way for doTERRA to utilize their need for essential oil. A lot of people are worried about the sustainability of essential oils. So what they do is they will go in and work with NGOs on the ground. And we're going to talk about frankincense next. So maybe I'll talk about where frankincense comes from in this context. So originally doTERRA used to source its frankincense from Oman. until they realized that they were dealing with brokers or middlemen, not the actual growers and farmers themselves. And they're not interested in working with middlemen and brokers, because it's those people that tend to be a little bit unscrupulous and manipulative and keep the poor, as it were, sometimes not even paying the farmers and growers fairly. So they discovered that the resin that makes frankincense oil was actually coming from Somaliland, which is next door. So they spent 2 years trying to go in on the ground and find out who had the trees, who was harvesting the resin, sorting the resin. And they spent a long time working out, bringing people together, bringing sultans together, chiefs that had never worked together, bringing them together and asking them if they would consider forming a cooperative, because obviously each person doesn't own huge vast of land, swathes of land, or many, many trees, but collectively they have a lot. So they got them to form a cooperative, which is what they do in many of the other countries. And then they will go in and work out really fair, on-time contracts, long-term contracts, on-time pay. In fact, in Somaliland, they couldn't even pay them in money, because money actually doesn't mean anything. It's a pretty lawless land. They had to pay them in commodities. But beyond that, they then bring in things like, okay, well, let's see what the communities need. Do they need healthcare? Do they need schools? And in fact, in Somaliland, they use the co-impact sourcing model along with their Healing Hands Foundation, which is a charitable arm of the company, to actually build schools and hospitals. So it's a very, very conscious company that is very concerned about the product that it's making, that you and I can use, and that brings great benefits that we've talked about. But it's also very concerned about the people that it has relationships with that bring the oils to fruition, if it were. And they invest a lot of time and effort in making sure that things are done sustainably as well.
So this is our last, our 10 oils. Frankincense is also known as the king of the essential oils. And it's great that it comes in this starter beginners pack, because like you've been hearing from Gus, like the sourcing of frankincense is quite a lot of work, and plus the amount of raw material that's needed to create, just one drop of oil is quite a lot. So this is one of the more expensive oils, and it's great that it comes in the kit because it makes it more affordable. But it's called the king of the essential oils for good reason, and it can cross the blood-brain barrier, which makes it amazing for brain health, but also for things like migraines, headaches, brain fog. It's been, shown to work helping with dementia and maybe aging problems. So I would suggest 1 drop on the thumb, pressed to the roof of the mouth, and not the front of the mouth, actually further down towards as far as you can go without feeling sick, pressing it there, because that's going to get into the brain very quickly.
May I just jump in there on that? When I mentioned this in a class, someone got really worried when I said that it can cross the blood-brain barrier. So just to point out that there's other things that can cross the blood-brain barrier that we wouldn't really want to be in our brain, like alcohol and like certain toxins that we find in our environment, in our homes through cleaning products and things like that, which are neurotoxic. So when they're in our brain, they can create a lot of inflammation in our brain. And so the fact that frankincense can also cross over the blood-brain barrier and help reduce that inflammation is really great, as Miranda said, for neurological health.
Yeah, and it's also, you've probably seen it in some skincare products, because it's been shown that it can help turn over the cell renewal. So it's been used in a lot of face creams and things like that. And frankincense is one of the oils that I use in my skincare now. And yeah, hopefully it's helping with the aging process. It's also, as a yoga teacher, I can say it's a really lovely one for balancing and for grounding. So I love it in the diffuser, either mixed with wild orange, or on the girls, again, at bedtime, I might use frankincense and lavender. Has a very grounding, sort of solid, because it comes from a tree, and so the oils that come from trees have more that sort of energy about them, being more rooted and more solid. But also frankincense mixed with any of the other oils is called the enhancer, and it makes the other oils more effective, which is quite incredible. So that's why I mentioned using Breathe and frankincense together to help with asthma. So it's just going to help enhance the benefit of the oils within Breathe to add a drop of frankincense to that mix.
I totally second that. And that's again partly down to its molecular size. It's particularly small, and its complexity of chemistry that it contains. But I'm just like Miranda, whatever I decide to use for any particular, therapeutic aim, I always add frankincense to the picture as well. It's a great oil, something I use nearly most days. Yeah. Okay.
So how do you get these amazing oils? There are a couple of ways. We recommend a wholesale membership. So there is the option to buy retail, but that would make it 25% more expensive and actually quite hard to come by. You also don't get my support if you buy retail. So when you open a wholesale membership, you get, it costs £24, which isn't very much for getting 25% discount on all your oils. So you can just open the membership and buy individual oils. That's one option. You can also have a membership waived, so the membership fee, which is £24, you can have that waived by buying a kit. And so these top 10 oils that we've been chatting about, they come in 2 different sizes. They come, the first size on the left, the Home Essentials kit, those are 15 ml size bottles, and they are 250 drops. And so we've just been discussing that most often you only need 1 or 2 drops. In the diffuser I use maybe more like 4 drops. But you're not using loads of drops in one go. So these 15 ml bottles are about 250 drops. And they're the 10 oils that we've discussed, plus the diffuser, which I mentioned. I previously had an oil burning diffuser, and that's not the quality of these oils. We want to keep the integrity of them. So it's better not to use a diffuser like that. So this is a diffuser which is just water and the oil, and it just diffuses it out into the air, and everyone gets to breathe that in and take it aromatically. So that's the Home Essentials kit, which is £226, and that, like I said, you don't have to pay the membership fee. That's included. Or the Family Essentials kit, which is the 10 oils that we've discussed, but just in a smaller size. So that's 5 ml bottles, which is about 70 drops of oil, and that's £115. And again, you don't need to pay for your membership for that. So I started with the Home Essentials kit because it's the best value, and I got it for my birthday. And I really have to say, I haven't looked back since I got it. I didn't know what a difference having oils in my life could make. So if you're interested in buying either oils individually, or you'd like to buy a kit, then just let me know and I can open your account for you. So I place the first order for you, and then after that you are able to buy any future purchases for yourself, because you'll have your membership, so you can go directly to the website and buy for yourself. So if you don't have my email, it's miranda@breatheeatmeditate.com. And yeah, I'd be very happy to get you started and then support you on this journey.
And I'd love to just say something about these kits. I also, like Miranda, started with a Home Essentials kit, and it truly has been the best investment I've made for my family's health and our home. It's also much better value. I don't know if you've noticed, but you actually get 3 times the amount of oils for less than double the price with the Family Essentials kit. You also don't have the diffuser with the Family Essentials kit. Now, you can always add the diffuser to that order. You can order a kit and add a few separate things on top of that, we'd always recommend adding a fractionated coconut oil, which is a carrier oil that you use to dilute the essential oils in order to apply them topically to your skin, or your children's skin if you have any. And unless you do have your own carrier oil already at home, it's advisable to add that on as well. But the Home Essentials kit is definitely the most popular kit and the one that most people go for. Okay.
Yeah, we've got to the end, but just to let you know that if you are buying oils, you might just want to know just a couple of things about safety. So like we've told you, they are really natural, really safe, very, very pure. The safest place to apply the oils, like I've mentioned, is on the feet. We always recommend diluting, and when you get your oils and you have your conversation with me, I'll talk you through how to dilute, but it's very straightforward. You never put the oils in the eyes, in the ears, in the nose. You just put it around those areas, not inside. To remove any oil that does get there, not with water, with the carrier oil. You can test your skin for sensitivity, so on your feet, for example, just to check whether your skin reacts to any of the oils. If you tend to have sensitive skin, then that's worth doing before using them. Like I mentioned, the citrus oils are photosensitive, so you don't want to use the citrus oils and go straight into the sun. So just be aware of that. And yeah, otherwise, listening to your body, using the oils intuitively, as well as understanding the different properties of the oils. But using the oils intuitively is really interesting as well, and can, your body has all the answers. It knows what it needs. So just like a dog will go out and eat grass to help it be sick for some reason, we also can be guided to what our bodies need in order to help heal. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening to the presentation, and that you have learned some things. As I said, I know it's a lot of information, so please don't feel like you need to have retained it all or know it all or be able to tell me which oil to use for what symptom, because there are amazing either an app or a book which will guide you through, and you'll just be able to look up what's going on for you. So if you've got, for example, like a cold, you can just look up cold and it will tell you which oils to use. So it's really, really simple and straightforward, and then you gain your knowledge from doing it like that, and it's all in the experience.
Okay, well, thanks for listening. I second that. I hope you're excited about getting these oils into your home. I think every home should have these top 10 oils in there. Absolutely. They're a real asset, and really upgrade the way that you do health within your home, both physically but also emotionally as well, and environmentally too, with helping to reduce toxins. So thank you for listening.
Have a good day.
Bye.